Today I'm at my laundromat and I'm going to collect quarters to find out how much I made in the last 7 days. And then at the very end, I'm going to talk about how much my laundromat made in the month of July. July and August are always our slowest months, and so I can't even tell you how excited I am for September to finally get here. Almost 4 years ago, I decided to invest the money that I had saved into this laundromat. I've always known that you can never save your way to wealth, and so I took a huge risk and invested that money into this laundromat, and so far it's been the best decision I ever made. I look at my laundromat not only as my day-to-day income, but also as an asset for my future when I'm ready to retire. Because I've been able to really grow the business since taking over, that whenever I am ready to sell, I'll be able to sell at a much higher cost than what I bought it for. And I think that's the funnest part about owning a business, is that there is no cap to how much you can make. Next, I'm going to go over how much I made in the last 7 days, as well as how much I made in the month of July. In the last 7 days, my laundromat made $2,610, and you'll be able to see that number once I'm done counting all this cash. And then for the month of July, I made $9,641. This amount is after all of my expenses, after all of my loans. I was still able to profit that much. Granted, I didn't do as well as this month as I did in June, but I'm also not over here complaining because I am grateful that we even did that well. Once again, July and August are always our slowest months. Let me know if investing in a laundromat is ever something you would do. I get asked this question all the time, and that is, what type of hours should a laundromat be open and closed? Or should the laundromat stay open 24 hours? In my own personal opinion, I think you should always close at night. I just know that if I were to leave my laundromat open overnight without an attendant there, it would attract the type of people that I don't want hanging out in my laundromat. I spent a lot of money on my laundromat and I want it to be well taken care of. I have automatic locks set on my front door. The doors lock at 10 p.m. and open at 5 a.m. I always have an attendant at night to clean and close. That way she can make sure that no one is there sleeping through the night when the doors are locked. Also, if you do have a laundromat that's open 24 hours, the insurance you'll pay every month will go up exceedingly. So maybe keep that in mind when you're deciding what you want your hours to look like. I also stay open every day of the year. I don't want my customers to show up with loads amount of laundry and be surprised that we're randomly closed on a holiday. This is just my own personal preference, but I'm sure there are other owners out there that do close on those big holidays. I hope this helps and gives you a better idea on laundromat store hours. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Do you think it's better to buy an existing laundromat, or is it better to build your own? Not everyone is going to like this answer, but if you've never owned a laundromat before, I think you should always buy your first laundromat, and then once you better understand the business of laundromats, then go build a laundromat. But that being said, I totally understand the appeal of building your own laundromat, but it really is so much more risky to build than it is to buy. I can make another video of all the cons of why you shouldn't build your first laundromat. If so, let me know in the comments. But the biggest reason is when you buy a laundromat, you make money on day one. But when you build a laundromat, it may take a while before you actually see a profit, which is really going to hurt when you're already so much in debt from building it. And I'm mainly saying this to those people who have never owned a laundromat. But if you've owned a laundromat in the past and you understand the whole game of it, then that's completely different, and I say go for it. I've owned my own laundromat for 4 years, and I've learned there is a science to setting up a good laundromat. But when I first bought my laundromat, I had no idea. So this is just my personal opinion that I think you should always buy your first laundromat, and then later down the road, you can definitely build. What do you guys think? What are the reasons why you would want to build your first laundromat instead of buying? Would you buy a laundromat instead of going to college? I know a very successful laundromat owner who owns 2 laundromats, and he told me in the very beginning when I bought my laundromat is that he wasted so much time getting his bachelor's degree, getting his master's degree, when he should have been focusing on buying more laundromats. What do you guys think about this? Instead of having the degree that you have now, do you think owning a business would have been better for you? Even though my laundromat now makes more than what I made when I was a nurse, I also don't think I would have been brave enough or mature enough to have bought a laundromat instead of going to school when I was 20 years old. But I also think young kids nowadays are doing it more and more. Maybe not specifically laundromats, but in business in general. I think the most important thing when deciding if you're going to go to college or not is figuring out the ROI on that degree. Is the time and money that you're putting into that degree going to pay off in the end? What do you guys think about going to college? And if you've already graduated from college, would you do it all again, or would you do something different instead? I don't regret getting my nursing degree because it led me to where I am now. Without getting that degree, I really don't think I would have been financially able to buy my laundromat. So to me, it was worth it. What are the downsides to owning a laundromat? I went ahead and asked this exact same question on a Facebook forum that I'm a part of. I got almost 100 responses answering this question. It all summed up to about 7 of the same responses. The first one is that it's not a get-rich-quick kind of business. Second one is that there are no days off. The third and fourth are the possibility of floods as well as dryer fires. Fifth is having homeless hang out in your laundromat. Sixth is always the maintenance repairs on your machines. And the last one is finding good employees. Even though I do agree with all 7 of these, I do think that if you focus on all of the bad things, you'll never find out how much of a great thing it could be. Because all 7 of those reasons that are downsides to owning a laundromat are all things that can be very much solved. And they've been solved by thousands of laundromat owners all across the U.S., including this girl who had no clue what she was doing when she bought her own laundromat. No matter what business you buy, there will always be downsides to them. So even though there are 7 downsides to owning a laundromat, I could give you 100 reasons why you should own one. But I also may be a little bit biased because my laundromat has worked out so well. Let me know in the comments why you think you would want to own a laundromat. I'm just a regular girl who quit her nursing job to buy a laundromat. And I bought this laundromat for $300,000 almost 4 years ago. I had finally decided to quit my nursing job after 3 years of owning my laundromat. My wash and fold had grown so much that I no longer felt the need to work as a nurse. Plus, I felt like my heart was no longer in it. A large part of my focus had shifted toward growing my business. I was starting to feel like every time I had to work my shift at the hospital, I dreaded it more than I ever had before, which I think is a good sign that it's time to go. I do get asked a lot if I ever miss nursing, and I do from time to time, but not enough to really want to go back. I think it's just because I love what I do way more now than I did before. Plus, I also knew that working as a nurse, I could never reach my financial goals as quickly as I could owning a business. And that's where my laundromat came in. Not only do I work about 1/4 of the amount of hours that I worked as a nurse, but I'm also making way more money. And then eventually when I go to sell my laundromat, I'll be able to sell it at a much higher price than what I bought it for. Which when you add up all 3 of those things, I kind of feel like I won the lottery. If you want to know more about owning a laundromat, go ahead and click the follow button.